If you missed it, here was a taste of what went down last night in D.C.
3-2 and a delayed call to strike 3. Rung him up. Wow. The Red Sox can't believe it, but they are in front.
No, this is not a strike.
Off the plate. Sure wasn't.
Okay, now was that the TV? Was that the TV call on that? Was that Nesson on the call? Yes, there was Nesson on the Justin Turner called strike 3 with the bases loaded last night in the 4th inning in D.C. The third largest blown strike of the season, courtesy of umpire Bruce Dreckman. He puts the Dreck in Dreckman with that call. That's how bad it was last night. Justin Turner, by the way, that was also pitch 10, Monty.
Oh, my
in the
goodness.
at-bat. So it's not like it was an
Early
0-2
on,
count.
yes.
Wasn't even the 6th pitch with a full count of 3-2. It was a 10-pitch count. That ball was actually closer to you and I, and we were in California than it was to Justin Turner. True story, John Ramos. That's as close as it was. But this seems to be an ongoing problem in Major League Baseball.
I would have been ejected already. I would have been kicked out of the league. I don't know how you're supposed to keep your composure. Justin Turner did everything right. 10 pitches. You did everything you're taught since you were in Little League. You take those balls so that you can get on base. The easiest way to get on base. And he did everything right, and then that happens in a terrible moment. And honestly, I wasn't even thinking of that when I was thinking about how the umpires are upsetting me this season. On Sunday, the Phillies were playing the Twins. It was the 7th inning. Alec Boehm was actually ejected because of this. It was also a full count. Bases are loaded. They are down 2-0 to the Twins. If he would have been walked, which it should have been a walk, not a strike, couldn't have been such an obvious ball, they would have scored one. And you know who was on deck with the bases loaded? Bryce Harper. Are you kidding me?
Could have been the hero.
Could have been the hero, and then they lost.
But the part about Alec Boehm being ejected was because he then just threw his bat on the ground in disgust.
Yes, exactly.
And had the visible demonstration. But this is what's going on in Major League Baseball since I think the first day since I watched the sport.
But I guess maybe we're just not seeing how bad it is in these moments because of technology. You might be right that this has been going on, but the way it is in our face right now in live time makes it a problem. And Major League Baseball needs to do something. We have to move on from the fact that we can actually fix this problem. It's right in front of us. We can actually fix it.
How can we fix this problem? I want to hear this solution from Monty Bolanos. How we can fix balls and strikes. By the way, baseball is what? How many years old? 150, 200, whatever it is. That's how long baseball's been around.
Sure.
But now we're going to finally fix this problem that has covered 170 years of the sport of baseball. How are we going to do it?
Listen, Dan Beyer, I understand what you're saying, but what's the expression? If it's not broken, don't fix it, right? This is broken. And because of technology, I know we don't want to open the door to robot umpires, but robot umpires would fix this. And if we don't want to fully go that way, I feel that we need to give a challenge as an option to the batter and the managers. Maybe 1 or 2 challenges per game. And then in live time on the Jumbotron, you could see, if I'm batting, if I am Alec Boehm, and I'm like, nope, that was not a strike, it was a ball. You send it to whoever and then you look at the Jumbotron together, and then you could be like, oh, see, you were wrong. Okay, let's do that one more time. We could do it in live time, not completely let in robot umpires.
All right. Okay, I'm writing this down.
But use the technology that it is at our fingertips to fix these problems in these crucial moments.
All right, I'm going to take your first part. Robot umps.
Yes.
John Ramos, what is my rule on robot umps?
You don't like them?
No, that is not correct. That is not correct.
Let's go to post and
let's clean that up. Ryan Bershinger, you know my thoughts on robo umps, and they are?
They could take over the world someday.
Okay, there's that. Isaac, that is not correct. Isaac Lowenkron, you know my thoughts on robo-umps.
Well, since John said that you hated them, I have no idea, but I'm going to say you love them.
If we're going to do robot umps, I want real robots. I want real robots behind the plate.
Yeah.
Like a real.
Yes.
Like C3PO.
By the way, I
should
did
be-
this bit on Monday, so it's like 48 hours old. And John's already forgotten it, but I want one, not two, strike three, you're out. Like, that's what I want. I want actual
Television.
robots out there moving with their arms like this. He is safe. Like, that's what I want with. So if you're going to go robot umps, I want freaking robots. Okay. That's what I want.
I mean, but with technology, robots aren't like that anymore. This isn't the Tin Man
Okay.
that needs to be out here calling balls and strikes. We can have a little bit more fluid of a robot with today's technology.
My robot ump, by the way, is also how I do the robot on the dance floor. So it's strike one. That's how it's done. Number two.
You don't go dancing a lot, do you, Dan?
Oh, I do. Oh, I do. Number two, your point was challenges.
Yes.
Is it the whole point of this season to speed up the game?
Yeah, and I think
And we're
it
going to
wouldn't
stop
take
a game because of a called strike.
Yes, because in those crucial moments, I want you to be able to call that this is, poop and it's not right, that the call was incorrect. Why can't we do that in those crucial moments, especially for somebody like the Phillies, like, the Red Sox are also still trying to get in there. These are important moments, important games, and that should be an option.
Okay. All right. Perfect situation. Last night's Justin Turner. And I'm going to put you to the test here. Last night's Justin Turner strikeout happened in the fourth inning where they went up 5-4 on the Nationals. And it was a 3-2 count. If you had a challenge and you were a manager, would you have used the challenge in that situation? Because you're talking about the fourth inning.
Yes.
Holmes
yes.
was in the seventh.
It was in the seventh.
And
correct.
as you mentioned,
Yes.
he gets on, Harper comes up. Yes. But the question is, would the challenge have even prevented last night's problem?
That is fair, and I think, unfortunately, it's not black and white. I do think it's situational, and I think there are times where maybe you do use that, and that's where strategy comes in. And if we give them two and you messed up on the first one, you lose the second one. So, unfortunately, it's kind of like the NBA where the coaches are going to save their challenge to later in the game. But in baseball, it's like, if it's the last game and this is you either win this game and you make it to the playoffs or you don't, you're going to use that challenge in the second, third, fourth inning. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So I think it is situational, not black and white.
And it's one of the genius things. The NFL has, if you get the first two right, you get the extra third challenge because you got the two right. But if you get one of them wrong, you only have the two left.
Exactly.
And it does reward fixing an egregious call, but it also makes you wonder, all right, if this was the play called on the field, was the camera in the wrong spot? Was the referee in the wrong place? Did they not get a replay? Football is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Baseball, I just wonder if you have a one-and-done challenge, if you would do it that way, if that would have been used in that case. And maybe in this case, it's held up and you get to keep your challenge, and that's great. But again, we're talking about a call in the fourth inning of a game.
Right.
And that's like the problem that I have with it. The other problem that I have, and you're right, like you aren't wrong in your being fed up with this, but I think there's been generations of baseball fans that have been fed up. And I just wonder, is it because how you watch it, how I watch it, how Ryan Bershinger watches it, Ryan B. Radio today instead of Danny G. Radio, it's Ryan Bradio and John Ramos and Isaac Lowenkron. How we all watch baseball right now, we watch it on a screen right now. What are we looking at? We're looking at a very thin rectangle that's made up as the strike zone.
Yes.
How do I know that's the umpire's strike zone? How do I know that he hasn't been calling the high, or, the high strike at a certain point? What I think is part of the problem and lends to some of these problems is that box there. I don't know how many times I'm sitting maybe looking at a box score on my phone, and it's just a graphic, Monty.
It is just a graphic.
And you see a red strike, and it's outside, and you're like, what? Or the opposite, it's a green, baseball that's on the edge of the strike zone, and you're like, how is that called a ball? I'm not even watching the game, and I'm mad at my updating box score. But I think that rectangle has a problem. It causes the problem for us because we think that we know what the strike is. Now, last night's was bad, But it just makes everything seem that much worse because of what they've put on the screen.
100%. Technology has ruined this, and that's why I'm talking about it now. Now, if we were to eliminate all of that, those charts that we see, that little rectangle we can see right now on TV, if that was all eliminated, then really it's a perception thing. But unfortunately, we're told it's not. We are told this is it, and it's killing it.
And the strike zone is, I mean, I think we've all played baseball, softball at some level. Like growing up, it was pits to knees.
Yes.
That's what it was.
Or elbows to knees, I think is what I was told.
Okay,
Yeah.
Probably a little more friendlier.
Yeah.
But there is no way that an elbow or an armpit strike is being called in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
Unless it's Angel Hernandez. Like, that's the only way that it is actually called.
And yet he's still here. And yet he's still here.
I think it's a part of baseball, and I just think it's so magnified. And another point is we Dreckman's call last night against Justin Turner was not great. But you know what we don't see? Are maybe the ones where it just hits the bottom left-hand corner against a righty, and the ump's like, strike 3. Nobody on Twitter is like, great call, ump. Man, you're on the... Like, we only missed the one last night that was 8 miles outside. And that to me is, I get guys miss calls. Maybe it's happening more often, but why is it happening more often? I think it's happening more often because we've got that little triangle on the screen.
I mean, but they're not seeing that. So that
but we wouldn't know. We wouldn't think if that. Now, maybe because it was so outside and we saw the catcher pull it into the strike zone. Maybe on something so egregious like that. But Bohms on Sunday, he jumps back because it's inside. It feels like it's inside. Didn't miss by that much. It may have been a ball.
It was a ball, clear as day.
But it could have been an inside strike that was called that way throughout the game. It could have been. Last night, maybe they're not calling that strike. And that's the point that I just keep coming back to is this has always been the case in Major League Baseball. This is varying strike zones. You got varying strike zones within crews from one night to another. But if it's called consistently, then you will know that that is a strike and that is not a strike.
I guess that is also another problem. It's not the same umpire behind home plate every game. The umpire behind home plate for that Phillies game that I was talking about on Sunday, I read it was his 13th game this season. That's not great.
No.
So like all of those little things matter. So I'm just saying if we're going to use technology to show us this, then why not use it to the advantage of making it more accurate?
This Bohm strike, okay, while it is. See this graphic here, and you can't see this because we're on radio. Turner's was the third worst this season. This is just an inside strike that may have caught the inside quarter. I'll tell you what else it does. When you have a catcher that can frame,
right? No, yeah, that's another
takes
separate
away
conversation.
An advantage, and all of a sudden now if you have Mr. Roboto behind the plate telling you what are balls and strikes, that takes away part of the skill of being a framer as a catcher.
Okay, so then no robot umpires, but you get to challenge it. I think my solution is the one. You just said that the robot
make games even longer. Brewers and Dodgers were done in like 2 hours, 10 minutes last night.
Right, so another 10 minutes, you'll be fine. Everybody will be fine.
John
it can
Ramos
be done in live time.
Able to play MLB The Show 21 last night after the Dodgers-Brewers game for 2 hours because it ended so quickly.
Very fast game, yes.
Under your rules, there would be no way that John could get, 2 games into his 162
You're making it seem like
season.
it's going to add 30 minutes, 20 minutes. It's going to add seconds.
I don't think that the 5 minutes waiting is worth it in terms of
5 minutes? It doesn't have to be 5 minutes.
Well, they put the headset on, they do this again, and if your strike zone is different than what the parameters of the strike zone are, then I don't know what you could do if you're an umpire. If you've been calling the outside strike throughout the game, and then all of a sudden somebody challenges it and says, you know what, that's not a strike. Now are you like, okay, I'm not calling it a strike anymore, and I've done it for the first 7 innings?
Please, he doesn't know where that ball has landed every single time. It's every time it looks different.
But again, this could all be solved with real robots.